நான் இன்னைக்கு டக் பிஸ்னஸ் ஸ்கூலுக்கு வந்திருக்கேன். And let's do Trichy as a place. He said, no, that's not happening. Then I moved to Atlanta, and it was a corporate move. That's when I decided, you know what, now's the time. I was about 37. Either we continue this journey and play small or do something big. I never knew whether we will be able to do big or not, but I had the feeling that we can do it big. Quit my job. I was making $250, right? And my book is coming out, which we'll talk about it. I had this offer for $500,000 per year. If you continue to stay in the organization, 3 years, guaranteed pay, $500,000 per year paycheck. On top of that, all the incentives. And now I'm flustered. Oh my God, $500,000. Okay, what should I do? And I immediately sought out to my advisors and folks who actually guided me in the right direction. He said, money is something, if you play it right, if you do it with a purpose, your idea. And so they were asking this question, and that is when the actual essence of why to start a business came out. So they're asking, why is it that you want to start a business? I wanted to start the business because I was so passionate about Trichy. I see that there is a talent gap. There is a gap in the industry. If you started an enterprise there, your operational cost is going to be so low, because anytime when somebody wants to start a business, they think about New York City, Manhattan, flashy, generally, I'm saying, right? And if you wanted to start a facility back in offshoring, you think about Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, and all these flashy places. There are places which has amazing talent pool. How do you think about converting talent deserts into talent oases, right? And I said, we have to, and there was a burning desire that throughout my entire life, I never had my mom and dad ever visit my school once, whereas I used to see parents in the PTA meetings, parent-teachers meetings, moms, dads coming together. There was a burning desire to create opportunities for people to live and work in that city. I said, is money your goal or this is your goal? I said, okay, let me go ahead and pick. I would choose the option of no money. First year I made money in the sense, like in the first 3 months, I made what I could make in the very first year. So quit the job, moved into an apartment, hunkered down for 18 months in the apartment, starting the business. Grew that to the first million, right? I called this guy and I said, dude, you know what? I made the first million. He was like so excited, awesome. And every year, towards the end of the year, right? I used to call my friends and tell me, you know what? Hey, we've gone past this mark. And this is like a goal which I'm all by myself in the apartment. There's nobody else. My wife, my 2 kids, that's all it is. And I had several names. I had Clark David. But those are my names. I had 4 different names for HR, for marketing, for sales, for CEO. So make it look like a big company. And the first website, right? Rent a Coder, $20 website. In an instance, overnight, we did that. But the beauty of it is, I want to talk to you about, you can move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So this is a logo, which me and my wife, we were thinking about the name for the company, right? What should be the name for the company? It cannot be just, when you meet somebody and you say, hey, this is the name of the company, they should ask, what is that again? So that you're able to put the hook and have a conversation. So I said, we should have a name which is so meaningful, which is about we, the people. It is not, an organization is never built by a CEO. It is just the entire tribe which comes together and makes the organization. So that's the V. The V is WE. And DART is, I was an athlete and a 100-meter sprinter. Usain Bolt is my favorite. Carl Lewis and Ben Johnson and all of these. Speed is something which I love. And what are the 2 things what customers really want? Speed and quality. That's all it is. So we collectively, DART as in dash to provide services for the customer with bullseye precision. All of this, we came up with the logo, me and my wife in a kitchen counter conversation, December 14, 2007. Night, we are sitting and drawing this. Just took about 15 minutes. We got this. All right, the next slide. In 15 minutes, we drew this with zero cost. It took 18 months and $500,000. 10 years down the line. 10 years, 100 million mark. Man, we are big. We got to evolve. We got to look slick. Our logo is, we are going through this thesis. Okay, our logo is inward looking. We got to be futuristic, forward looking, inclusive logo. Let's do that. And that's when we came up with that logo. And that just cost about $500,000. That's all it is. So let's move on to the next one. This is my first, I have to tell you this story. So moving into the apartment, this is the first table which I bought from my neighbor in a garage sale. This was $4 and this plastic chair is $2. And this is my laptop, first laptop, which is a Sony Vaio. I still have this set up in my office room just so that I can remember back my roots, where we all started from. Thank you. This is the first team what I set up in Trichy. And this is a 5-member team. What we set up, there are about 10 members. And we call it as garage startup here. What we did was a terrace startup. So my dad had built a house and it had like the top floor, which we call it as a terrace, and which was open. And I needed like about $2,000 because of the savings what I had. I'd sold my cars, houses, and all of that. I was able to invest that and build a small kind of like 2 rooms in that, and started off with a 5-people team. Long story short, what happens is in the next, from 2010 to 2013, I come to Tuck Business School, all right? And in 2013, within that time span, so 2010, we got MBE certified, Minority Business certified, and that is something which I wanted to do. Thanks to all those companies who were minority certified, who inspired me actually to get minority certified, got minority certified, had a huge access to customer base based out of Atlanta. And then we started growing this organization. And we go on to the next slide. We'll talk about this. So 2016, I come to Tuck Business School, talked to Professor Len, and I had 2 takeaways. The first takeaway was, how do you recruit a board? I was talking about it, and you asked all the questions, so I had to say all the answers now while you were sitting there. I wanted to keep it secretive. All right, so anyways, so how do we recruit a board? I got in board members, amazing board members, who helped me think that if you had to build an organization of immense value and immense revenue, it's not just going to be a single-slivered approach. You've got to think in the adjacencies. Don't just be in staffing. How could you move? And this was taught in the class. How could you move from staffing to services, from services to products? You are in the technology space. It's easy to move. But I'm not a person who writes a line of code. I don't know. But you are a people compiler. You can compile people. CEOs are people compilers. Go search in your network. And that's when I got my board member, as a result of which fortunately, I was able to compile a great set of leaders. And from there on, we started in 2017. In 2016, so 2 things which I said. First was board, and the second thing was adjacencies. Start other companies in adjacencies. Those were the 2 learnings what we had. Came back, instituted the board, asked the board, how is it that we go? And we are hunting, and it's intentional. While I'm doing the staffing business, I'm intentionally hunting. How do we get the digital journey started? How do we get the services journey? How could we be the next Accenture? How could we be the next Cognizant? That was the goal. And then what happens is I get in my CTO and my co-founders. My CTO became my co-founder. We started the services business. And then my CTO said, you know what? And the CTO, whom do I recruit? Chief Technology Officer of SunTrust Banks. And why? Because we are having this conversation. You know what? I've got like 25 years of experience building all these amazing things for these Fortune 1000 corporations, but I don't see a purpose in it. I don't see that I'm creating an impact in the marketplace, and I want to go the entrepreneurial journey. I said, absolutely, I'm in for it. As entrepreneurs, I want you to think, how can you invest in other people who are so talented, who can come and do things for you, and you can give them the opportunity to start things new. So today we have various different ventures going on. Every time, I'll talk to you in a little bit about what we are doing. Every individual whom I'm talking to who says, hey, you know what, I want to do the startup journey, but I am in shackles. I'm worried about this amazing paycheck what I have, which I can't let it go. Can I give you the paycheck and you want to experiment? That's the conversation. That's a conversation what you want to have. For that, you need to have sufficient funds in your reserves. For you to have sufficient funds in your reserves, you've got to let go lifestyle entrepreneurship. It's not about those flashy cars and those amazing palaces, mansions, what we live in. It's about deep purpose. How do you really create impact for others? That's the way you want to think about it. And so, fortunately, my CTO and co-founder, amazing guy, we founded the first company, and we went through this brand exercise. The $500,000 also cost this as well. From brand of houses, everything was VDOT, but the customers were very different. We were confusing the marketplace. Okay, let's go do the exercise again. And we came up with all these amazing names. So this company is called as Demure. Demure does pure play only services business. That grew over to a $40 million business. This is Vouch. And if you've not checked out Vouch, if you've not checked out Demure, you should. Vouch is if you're driving an automotive and where you're using your phone to open your car, that is our tech. We have close to about 15 million consumers. Probably many of you are our consumers who are sitting out here. The next time when you open a hotel door and you're using your phone to open your hotel door, you're probably using our tech. That is what Vouch is. We spoke about, in our dinner table, we were talking about the number of ransomware attacks. What our tech fundamentally does is remove fraud and ransomware and synthetic data. Next time when you're going to go to any place and you're going to utilize a user ID and password, today, you are not you. You are a user ID and a password. You are a 4-digit or a 9-digit number, technically. That's what we are all. The next time where we are coming in, we are calling it as a paradigm shift in enterprise identity. The next time when you walk in, you will be recognized as you. There is never going to be a user ID and a password. Today, everybody says Face ID. Oh, we think Face ID is great. Because behind the scene, there is a user ID and a password. And anytime you have a user ID and a password, that can be stolen. And that's what we avoid. That's Vouch. And during the pandemic happened. And in 1 year, that's a record what we set. We grew this company from $0 to $39 billion in just 1 year during the pandemic. So VDOT does talent management on the technology side. There's a huge demand which came in because so many people unemployed. All the states were scrambling to file unemployment claims. They did not have enough people. They want call center agents. We said, absolutely, we'll provide you call center agents. Everybody is sitting home as long as you let them work from home. We staffed about 3,200 call center agents in just under 12 months with Accenture being one of our largest partners. Accenture won all the deals. We executed all the deals, as a result of which we grew that company. And today it is just pure play non-IT. It does work with some amazing automotive companies and the large system integrators as well. Through this journey, while we were during the pandemic, I have this passion of going to colleges and talking to kids and giving them an idea about entrepreneurship, because the place where I come from, nobody knows about entrepreneurship. US, there is a lot of talk about entrepreneurship, but when you talk about parts of India, there's not much of entrepreneurship. So every time I go to a city, I want to figure out which is an underprivileged school, where I can go. How many times have you heard CEOs voluntarily going to every school, every time you are intentional about going and presenting to college kids and school kids about, hey, start your journey in entrepreneurship. This will be a game changer in your life. Not a whole lot of people do it. So I took that as a passion. I was doing that. And then what happened is during pandemic, I wasn't able to do it. So we started it virtually. Just in that 1 year, I touched upon 65,000 students globally. 65,000 students just on webinars around entrepreneurship and all of that. And that's where we found this brand, which is called a siddahmed. Today, what we do with siddahmed.com is, if you look up my social channels, it is just because of how the brand was built, because of the reach, the digital marketing prowess. So what we call it as is DMAS, which is digital marketing as a service. In the opener of the conversation, I mentioned walk with influence, sell with influence. How do you sell with influence? You need to have, whether you're a CEO, you need to have a great social profile. You need to be out there. So we help entrepreneurs and their businesses in creating better presence on social media through digital marketing. And that's what we do. We can go on to the next slide. In all of this entire journey, one of the most important things was purpose. Our purpose is to transform the trajectory of people's lives. Simple. Whether we are in technology business, tomorrow we could be in manufacturing, day after tomorrow we'll be in confectionery, beverage, whatever it is. But transforming the trajectory of people's lives is the ultimate goal. And how do we create value for our customer in every conversation? Whether we make money or we do not make money, how do we create value for our customers? With this, we put a framework together, and we'll move on to the next slide. And this is the framework. The framework is about purpose at its core. 5 minutes. Purpose at its core. There are 4 elements to this. All right. The first element is the fueling the flame. There's not just one leader who needs to be carrying the purpose. If you're just one leader who carries the purpose, it will die down. So we recruited only leaders who can talk about, who can actually carry the purpose and have purpose at their heart. The next one is resisting trade-off, vehicles to deliver. I'll cover vehicles to deliver. In every conversation, when you start your meeting, your huddle, daily huddle, when you break it down to the smaller teams, do they start the meeting with the purpose? The actions, what we did yesterday, did it transform somebody's trajectory? That's the conversation what you need to have as an opener. And that's what the vehicles to deliver, right from their R&R and various different events, we package it in such a way that purpose is continuously being spoken about. Resisting trade-off, and our mother of all, I'll talk to you in a little bit. You can move on to the resisting trade-off. Resisting trade-off is purpose over profit. COVID happened. We were making incredible, this is like three months down the line. First month, 0 revenues. Second month, 0 revenues. Third month, 0 revenues. We are carrying about 750 people on, totally, we are over 4,000 people globally. 750 people who are our dedicated staff, right? The one question which came up, and this is like in the 3rd month we are having this, not in the 3rd month, 45th day we had this conversation, me, the CFO and the CHRO. What is the tiebreaker question? Is the individual the breadwinner for their family? The population what we serve, where our global capability center is based out of Trichy, they all come from lower middle income. 90% of the workforce is first generation. All their parents are farmers and farming and all of that. If we let that individual go, how are they going to win bread? We said, you know what, we will never lay off anybody in the organization. We continue to have janitors, cooks, chefs, drivers, everybody in the organization throughout the pandemic and post-pandemic as well. So that is purpose over profit. By keeping purpose at its root, we can move on to the next slide. Purpose over growth. There was one individual within the organization we had who was leading a $40 million portfolio. We did not feel that he belongs, that there's a cultural issue with that particular individual. If we let go, we will lose $40 million worth business because he had such a powerful connection with that particular customer, right? We let him go. We slid down to 20. We are still sliding, but we know we can come back. But it was much better to choose purpose over growth. We can move on to the next slide. Mother of all right? The mother of all is Trichy. Trichy is the real hero of our story. It's not Sid, it's not the people. The city, what we have transformed, the economic and the social impact. A city in which we started off with 5 people, today has over 750 people, and we have created job opportunities in various, you speak about HR, recruiting, sales, social marketing, digital marketing, this, that, and ESG or culture. We have a culture leader in our organization. We have an ESG leader in our organization. Right from Trichy. These are all talent which was never available. This is all trained talent. We have trained over a period of time. Software developers. The kind of technology, what you're talking about, Vouch, we are having people deliver from Trichy, a place where nobody else, we became the largest employer in town. We've created an economic and a social impact in this particular place. Today, when we have this particular event, which is called as R&R, Reward and Recognition, we're doing it for the 14th year. We fly our customers from here to an unknown place like Trichy, where our customers fly in from here. And it is like a celebration in the city. 2-day event, we spend over about $150,000 to $250,000 in 2 days. Why? Because we invite each and every employee's parents for that particular event. And the award which is given to the employee is by the parent, to the employee. So what we are doing is we are crystallizing that moment to create a micro experience. Gone a long way. Right? So that's why we call it Trichy. And when you come to Trichy, this is what you would see in the airports and every other place. Right? We can move on to the next slide. So we spoke about buildings today, in one of the conversation, Lynn had spoken about when you build workplaces, how do you build workplaces? It's a small town, there's never been a large employer, and we are thinking, okay, how do we create this amazing, we are working here in Atlanta, we've got beautiful offices all over the place, and then we come up with this, we good? Yeah. So we come up with this particular concept. How do we create this place where when employees walk in, these are folks who are living in one-bedroom apartment with about 5 members in their family, 10 members in their families. We've seen during COVID when kids, there's a kid in the lap, there is a small ceiling, there's a small fan, pedestal fan, and then she's working in the laptop. People sit outside their in the verandas because the rest of the people are sleeping in the house, right? How do you create a workplace that it's like a star hotel? Right, and this is what we did. We created this facility. You can look it up. It's called as Manarpuram. There's a video on that. And that is the state-of-the-art facility, what we created for our members. Currently, there's close to about 750 people who work out of this facility. We can move on to the next slide. So, having said all of this, when I was reading this article about centennials, there's an article from Harvard Business Review. You should take a look at it. How do companies grow past the 100-year mark, like the British cycling team or the Royal Shakespeare Theatre? How do they grow to? The most important thing is organizations, companies, entrepreneurs should let educational institutions and students study your organizations. Any company which has done that has gone through the centennial mark because of the feedback, what you receive from students. We spoke about that as well on the table, the case study. I actually feature on several case studies. Our case study is featured on the Harvard Business Store. You can look it up. It's in Harvard Business Store, Managing Culture During Growth. How could a small company come out of Trichy and grow to this level, which is delivering for Fortune customers across the board? There's nobody, you can talk about the TCS Cognizant, there's so many players, right? But nobody has done it from Trichy. And that's what we do. So it's called as Managing Culture Growth, which is available in the HBR store. And this is a case study which is solved by the Indian Institute of Management. It's the Ivy League School of India, management school. And we have every year, we have 270, this is the highest year, where we've had 274 interns, management interns, who are working with various different teams across the board. We can move on to the next slide. Talking about, so when we want to do something in Trichy, Trichy is a place, it's a small town. Many of them, 90% are first generation workers, farmers. You got to create a social impact. How is it that you are going to be invested in the society? We thought ESG, when the word social came in, we thought it's only about CSR. So we used to volunteer, fund, interest groups, whatever you want to do, we had that. Then we went through this program with Accenture. We are the first company to be mentored, and it is featured in LinkedIn. Julie Sweet speaks about it. We are featured in the Accenture's Corporate Citizenship Report. We were the first company to be mentored on ESG, and we are the first firm in the staffing industry, if I'm not wrong, to be EcoVadis certified. We are EcoVadis bronze medal certified. And this is all, in the essence of time, I'm not going through this, but there's some amazing ESG work what we are doing. Incredible work. You call every sliver of ESG, we will rank like top slot. I wanted to make a special mention about this. So a lot of people, and talking about board, when you're recruiting board, you want to have diversity in your board as well, because I serve in the Entrepreneur of the Year judges panel as well. And the first question what we ask is, hey, where's diversity in your board? So when you are thinking about recruiting board, make sure that you think about diversity as well. The same thing applies to me. So what happens is, a lot of people ask, hey, when we look at your website, it's all male. Where is diversity in your leadership? And that's when we instituted this particular program, and it's a structured program. It's called as GWLI, Global Women's Leadership Initiative. We have several leaders from the US. Think about it. These young ladies, they have never spoken to anybody from the US except for recruiting or sales or HR and things like that. One-on-one mentoring. We have like some of the top leaders mentoring these women. Why? Because we want to get from 23% of leadership talent of women in our leadership team to 50% and above. That's what we're doing. We can move on to the next slide. All right, these are all the amazing awards what we've won, but most importantly, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this, and I will close the session. Where is my glasses? I don't know. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. In terms of three national titles, the first one is MBE of the Year. Out of 17,000 MBEs, we were chosen as MBE of the Year, Minority Business Enterprise of the Year. Two national titles, two times we have won Supplier of the Year among 17,000 MBEs. 5 times we have won Supplier of the Year with the regional and national council, right? Hold on one second. There's some. Oh, I went past all of this. Okay, let's quickly close this. I think we are ready. Corporate Plus. Is there any Corporate Plus here? Okay, perfect. So we are the only firm, I think, who has 2 companies who are Corporate Pluses, which is VDart and Demure. And Ying was like really surprised. Man, you have 2 companies which are Corporate Plus. So we are two companies which are Corporate Plus. We've been featured in NASDAQ. We won Toyota's Diverse IT Supplier of the Year twice in a row. We've won Entrepreneur of the Year. We've been featured in MBN Magazine, Diversity Plus, so on and so forth. But all of this is possible because of these amazing people whom I just wanted to quickly show it to you on the next slide. That is our team, which is the 750 people team which makes it happen. I'm just a mouthpiece. I'm a storyteller and I can come and narrate stories, and that's what I did for you today. Most importantly, what I wanted to tell you is I'm a huge fan of Zappos. I've sent people, and culture is something which we wanted to rub it into the place where we live and operate. And how can we become like a Zappos culture, a giving culture, a fun culture? People love to come. Had our team come in from India, from this location, never taken a plane, flew all the way to Vegas.
Hey folks, I'm here with Emmanuel, okay, and we're going to take a walk and we're going to have this conversation. Emmanuel is the one who spearheads the Tuck Business Program. Now on the Naraya program, I've spoken about how important the Tuck Business Program has been to VDart and its group of companies' journey, but he's the man who makes it happen, okay? And I'm here at this particular program. And we just wrapped up we've still not wrapped up the program, but I thought you should all hear from Emmanuel. Okay, we've got such a huge following, and Tuck Business School program does so much, but it is so not spoken enough. And that's why I wanted Emmanuel to be here speaking. Hey, Irfan, can you come here 1 second?
Yeah.
Can you see both of us are on the frame on that side?
Yeah, both of you.
Okay,
You want me to hold it?
Yeah. So, Emmanuel,
Yes.
this program, how many years has it existed?
Well, as of this year, 44 years.
I saw that picture. I was like so touched by
Yeah.
it. 44 years.
Yeah, back in 1980, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so next year we'll be celebrating our 45th anniversary. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
Yeah, we actually had a gentleman, Paul Dozier, who was in this room, who was 1979, he was here.
Was he here today?
He was here in the green jacket, the tuck green jacket.
Oh my.
Yeah, the older gentleman.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can see.
Yeah. I wanted to connect him. I think it was a late night for him, but he was here back when this program started.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, when I came here to the campus 10 years ago, and even today, I just fell in love with the campus overall, and I got some shots about the campus and how it looks and all of that.
Yeah.
But an Ivy League school, forever I wouldn't have ever believed that I could even step into this campus. So, what you all are doing and what you are doing specifically in attracting small businesses to come and learn in this campus is incredible. So, can you tell a little bit about what size of businesses can participate in this program, and what is the success or what is the impact of this program?
Yeah, so size-wise, generally, so this is a business school, right?
Yeah.
The very first school of management in the country.
First school of management.
First school of management in the country.
Yeah.
Tuck School of Business, 1900.
Yeah.
And so we provide our MBA students generally with a general management program, right?
Yeah.
So we're a world-class top B school. So the thought is these smaller businesses oftentimes don't have 2 years to get an MBA, right?
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get
yeah.
the skills
Agreed.
and tools. So what we do is we condense it. So it's sort of like they get their MBA within a 1 week period. And
Would you call it as an alt MBA, an alternate MBA,
I like
Seth
that,
Godin
yes.
says that?
I would certainly say that.
Yeah.
And so we provide them with the foundational tools that they need to operate their business, whether it be finance, leadership, operations, or in many cases, marketing, right, which is key to businesses. So it's a formula that it works for these top-rated MBA students that leave and lead world-class businesses. What we do here at Tug is that we develop wise and decisive leaders to better the world through business, and we do that by you see the campus, right? You mentioned it is quaint, idyllic, quintessential New England town. It's about 2 blocks, right? Go and come, but it's massive as far as rural, right? So it's just nature. People come out here and they focus on what they need to do to better themselves, whether it be through their degree program, and in this case, it's for the entrepreneur to step away from the business to work on the business.
Yeah.
And you've seen for yourself, folks, when we say life-changing, it's not cliche. I mean, you've seen the impact for your own self, but we have dozens of businesses that leave here and come back and say, listen, I implemented this and it was a game changer.
Yeah.
And we hear that so often, and now people say that as cliche, but it's truly a fact for us. The way we design it, we work closely with all faculty, and it is really about having something that is immediately impactful, not something that you want to implement 3 months from now, 6 months from now. But we have folks taking their break, calling their CFOs, calling their COOs, and like, we need to do this, that, and the third. So we take pride in that, right? We don't want to waste your time. It's 1 week, it's condensed, it's compact, and we want to make sure it's worth your while. So these programs are well worth the investment.
So do corporations sponsor for these programs?
Yes. Okay. So originally they were federally funded, right? The SBA and the MBDA wanted to support diverse, at the time, underrepresented, underserved businesses. And so I want to say the first 20 years, most of that was
We can walk and continue the conversation.
Of course. So we got to a period that depending on who's in administration, when administrations change over, funding changes. And so when there's a loss of funding, like federal funding, corporations start to step in. You mentioned Delta as a company, right? They stepped in and provided you with funding to come to this program. So we work with a number of Fortune 100, 500 companies that want to develop their supply chain, and they want to recruit suppliers that are diverse in nature, but provides a unique opportunity for them.
You want to sit down for a second? Please.
So yes, these companies now, these corporations now are vast. And I would say there's over a dozen corporate companies that come and support the program.
Got it. So here's what, prior to coming to this particular program, I always wanted, if there is any program like this, I wanted to be in this program. So because I never did a management program, anything of that sort. There are so many entrepreneurs who want to get into it. They go through the regular stream of management program, and yet they don't go through the entrepreneurial route. I'm not discouraging that, but what I think is, if you're an entrepreneur within MBEs, there are 17, or right now it's 21,000 MBEs. Out of 21,000 MBEs, how many MBEs intentionally want to be a part of it? My ask, or what I would say is, I can vouch for it and say, if you're an MBE, minority business owner, you should definitely be a part of the Tug Business Program, because I have experienced it. I'm sure that it will create success for you. The second thing is, நீங்க வந்து ஒரு தமிழ் entrepreneur இருக்கீங்கன்னா, minority certified firm இருக்கீங்கன்னா, USல இருக்கீங்கன்னா, கண்டிப்பா வந்து நீங்க வந்து you should உங்களோட regional council கிட்ட பேசி you should participate in the Tug Business Program, because இந்த ப்ரோக்ராம்னால தான் வந்து we have grown. So நீங்க வந்து you can reach out to me directly and I'll be more than happy. To all the corporations, I know I talk to a lot of
business diversity folks and various different corporations. If you're watching this, there's only a dozen corporations who are investing in this. Delta Airlines invested in us, and this is the growth what we have seen. So I'd love for corporations to invest in this particular program, and I want you all to reach out to Emmanuel, or you can reach out to me, and then I can connect you with Emmanuel. But this is where actually the seeds are being sowed for the next set of MBEs to become Fortune 1000 corporations. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned.